Thank you very, very much. My Lord. Look, if you would be patient with me, just a little imagination and a little nostalgia here of what this evening means to me, because exactly 2 weeks ago today, an event occurred in another beautiful room, even more magnificent than this, since it was done by Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. And let me kind of go back to that 2 weeks ago to describe my sentiments this evening. You have just said to me, you of Becket, you've just come to me and said, you've been nominated to receive the Canterbury Medal. How do you respond? And listen to me say, accetto, all right? Then you ask me, how shall you be called? And I now answer, I shall be called grateful. Grateful I am. Finally, I got to use those two lines that I've been... Grateful I am indeed to Becket, an organization I've esteemed for decades, to Bill and the board, Mark, to you and your passionate staff, to Elder Quentin Cook and Professor Robert George, to all of you devoted good people who bless me this evening with your gracious company and who, unlike me, paid to be here, all right? I'm indeed extraordinarily grateful this evening, and that's what I want to be called. While it's obligatory, it's also sincere, as I say to you that I hardly deserve this high award, yet I readily admit that you are absolutely on spot to claim I am intensely devoted to the protection of our first and most cherished liberty, religious freedom. And you know what? In anticipation of this happy event this evening, I wondered why. Why do I take religious freedom so seriously? Well, for one, surprise, because I take religion very seriously. And I'm in rather good company tonight, to be sure, with all of you co-defenders, but also in very good company with the founders of this grand republic we're proud to call our earthly, albeit temporary home, the United States of America. They, our founders, and their parents had come here precisely because they were frustrated in countries where religion was imposed or prescribed, nations where battles were waged to coerce religious conviction, nations where they were hounded and harassed for their beliefs. Not here, they insisted. This is not the way that they, or more importantly, God, intended it to be. Nothing, they insisted, is more free than creedal assent. Nothing merited more protection than religious freedom. Nothing deserved more top billing in our Constitution. And not only was religious freedom to be vigorously guarded, it was downright essential for the flourishing of this noble experiment in democracy. As the father of our country observed, our liberty will not be degraded into mob rule as long as our people are religious. For faith is needed, fostering the virtue and responsibility essential to the common good. The most perceptive commentator on the American experiment, remember, the Frenchman Alexis de Tocqueville, would write for decades after George Washington's insight that democracy would shine and endure in this country precisely because these Americans take religion seriously. I take religion seriously because I was raised that way. And I take that religion seriously because of my education. As early as the 7th grade, I was moved to read that our Catholic ancestors came from England to Maryland to escape religious restriction, and flourish indeed they did, such that one of the most celebrated family of first patriots was the Carroll family, whose Catholic members included Charles, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, Daniel, a representative at the Constitutional Convention, and John, our first bishop. My own Irish ancestors would share that value with the Carroll family as they left a beloved, starving island where they were oppressed for their Catholic faith, and that was the only possession most of them brought with them on those ships called coffins. If I needed yet another reason to take religion seriously, I find it in the classroom called history, that shows that every noble cause in our American pedigree was inspired by faith. From independence itself, to the fight against slavery, to the rights of workers, to an end to racial bigotry, to the cause of peace, to the amelioration of poverty, to the defense of the innocent baby in the womb and grandma in hospice. So, you know what? Do you see why this award means a lot to me? I take religious liberty so seriously because I take religion so seriously. And because religion, folks, is not only a good, its freedom is a given, not by any government or charter, but a given inherent in the dignity of the human person, a given by God himself. Thus is religious freedom not some hobby or a nice idea, but a fact, a given, part of the very nature that cannot be erased. Thus, your passion, my passion for this primary liberty is not just because we happen to be a believer or a patriotic citizen, but because we're a person endowed with certain ingrained rights. Thus do we bristle when told that religion is fine for an hour or so on the Sabbath, a crutch maybe for superstitious people, but never to be taken seriously by enlightened folk, never allowed to influence society or culture. That is not anti-religion, that's anti-human nature, that's anti-human rights. Thus do I only reaffirm my canonization of religious liberty when in Rome the last month, my brother cardinals around the world would plead with me, Timothy, please, we look to America as a model for a just society where the right to worship and freely exercise religion is enshrined because, they tell me, these cardinals, we live in countries where paranoid bullies despise any allegiance other than to them. Please keep showing us this is not the right way. They plead with me. Thus do I salute Becket. In the lineage of Thomas Becket and John Fisher and Thomas More, the Carrolls, the Cristeros, the Solzhenitsyns, the Martin Luther Kings, the Cesar Chavezes, and the Jimmy Lies of this planet, Becket calls the bluff of those who considered religious freedom an outdated enemy of democracy, insisting instead it's the very cement keeping the architecture of our house of democracy securely tuck-pointed. And that's why I cherish this. That's why I appreciate that movie, which could win the Academy Award for Science Fiction. Thus I'm called. I choose to be called grateful for this Canterbury medal and to all of you for bestowing it. Thank you. God bless you.